Okay, so it seems like there's been some big news involving Genshin Impact, and this is going to be very interesting for the future of the game because it says Genshin Impact will no longer be available on the PS4. And obviously the PS4 is a pretty ancient console by now, and they say obviously due to limitations related to hardware performance and platform application size, we will be discontinuing support and updates for the Genshin Impact on PS4 and future versions, which obviously sucks for a lot of current PS4 players of Genshin Impact if there is any. Now, obviously, this doesn't stop any of the other platforms or any of the other places that you can play Genshin Impact. Obviously, you can still play it over there. But I think due to, obviously, the PS4 being a pretty old console, I think it became not very viable for Genshin Impact to obviously keep supporting it. And it means as well that we could be seeing some changes to the performance requirements of Genshin Impact. They also say preview of changes to device performance requirements to support future version updates and optimize game performance. Genshin Impact will raise its device specifications, starting with a Song of the Welcome Moon version. At that time, both the minimum and recommended system specifications for the game will be raised. Devices below the minimum specification may still launch the game, but may experience performance issues, including frame drops, instability, or crashes during gameplay. Now, obviously, yeah, they actually kind of give us a whole rundown here of the different ones. Obviously, Android, you need Android 10 and above. So again, they're looking for newer kind of phones, iOS as well. iPhone 8 Plus or above, I'm pretty sure that is. So yeah, very interesting too. And also we got stuff like PC. Now the PC one is obviously the most kind of interesting, because obviously they say that you need obviously Windows 10, you need above an Intel Core i5 or obviously a Ryzen 5, and also 8 gigabytes of RAM, which 8 gigabytes of RAM is quite a bit of a requirement. Obviously that's minimum, by the way. And obviously they also say that you need a 1050 or higher, but they actually suggest that you have an Intel Core i7, also a RAM size of 16 gigabytes, and yeah, so again, pretty heavy in terms of the kind of specifications. And also, yeah, you can also play the game on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S. So again, obviously, a lot of people will be complaining in the comments because obviously they're saying, my phone's about to die. Will a Samsung S23 suffice? So again, a lot of people, mobile players, are probably not going to be happy with the change because, again, it does mean that it's going to be harder to run, and maybe a lot more people aren't going to be able to play the game on their phones anymore, might have to upgrade their phones or whatever. But I do think this is very positive towards the direction of where Genshin Impact is going, because obviously we've got Nod Krai coming up very soon. I'm actually very excited for their update. Obviously, I've been very out of the Genshin space for the whole of Natlan, essentially. But I think with the release of Nod Krai and a lot of the kind of teasers of the old kind of lore that, obviously we used to love in the game, I honestly think it's such a, great change, and I can't wait to go ahead and play it because, again, I've always looked into characters like Istoroth and people like that who have always been mentioned in the lore in my old kind of shorts videos, and I'm very, interested to see what kind of happens with that and how they can actually make a good story with this. And I think with these kind of changes to performance, I'm hoping that they do change around a lot of the kind of graphical elements of Genshin Impact, because one of the problems that Genshin Impact has whenever it comes to being compared to games like Wuthering Waves is its graphics. They have really great worlds, they have really great characters and things like that, but the graphics never really cut it. I think the graphics always look a little bit outdated, and obviously that's to be expected, seeing as the game came out almost 5 years ago now, which is pretty insane. Now, obviously, I think that it would be a good change to kind of increase the performance requirements, but also increase, the amount and quality of the game. And whether that's going through and reworking a lot of the characters so they look more updated, I mean, that is definitely something that they do need to do if they really want to kind of get on board. Like, if this was like Genshin Impact actually listening and making every single change, which obviously I'm not too hopeful for, but again, it would be nice. I would say that they need to go back and obviously change a lot of their older characters, not so much the newer ones, but the older characters which have very outdated designs. I mean, we all know like the D-Look design is pretty outdated now compared to a lot of the new Natlan characters and everything like that. So again, obviously I think they need to go back and change some of that, but also I think they need to kind of re-detail a lot of their kind of areas, everything like that, and also just kind of update things. I'm not exactly sure on how they could update it, but I think it just needs to be updated in some way possible. And I think with these kind of performance requirement changes, it could potentially mean that they're looking to kind of upgrade that and obviously actually be kind of in the competition, because currently there is no competition between quality. I think Wuthering Waves does it best, honestly, like in terms of the quality, but I think Genshin Impact could definitely catch up if they wanted to, if they, you know, actually put their foot down and made some changes. But obviously, yeah, a lot of people have been commenting on the PS4 one, saying things like, will it be available on PS5? Which, yeah, obviously it will be. They said had to be something really catastrophically wrong with the engine for them to just EOS it. A lot of the time, from what I've seen, live service games just crank the settings to textures as low so they can keep going. Happened to Fortnite on the Switch 1, which, yeah, you know, could be true, but at the same time, I think they just didn't want to support it anymore, and obviously it probably cost them some money to run it on the PS4 too. So again, I think they are just kind of cutting costs. People said PS4 in the big 2025, which obviously, yeah, is true. I think as well, for a platform that is so small, there's no need for them to really be running it on there anymore. I don't think there's very many PS4 players. They said, I spent $1,000 playing Genshin on the PS4, and now you're telling me that you're discontinuing support in the future. What kind of joke is this? All my hard work and investment have gone to waste. How can you do this to your players? Which obviously, yeah, this person is pretty mad. Obviously, probably a PS4 player, as they said. But again, I mean, I think it is kind of just time to invest in an upgrade. But again, it's just one of those situations where, yes, it does suck for the few players that play PlayStation 4 Genshin Impact, but at the same time, not very many people do play it. And I think that if you really wanted to kind of continue playing, then you could potentially look at an upgrade to a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox or maybe a PC. But again, I know that not everybody has that kind of money to just kind of be thrown about. So again, it is a little bit disappointing, but again, if it's something to kind of cut corners and to kind of cut costs, then I think that's, you know, fine. Said, what about mobile phone players? I'm scared. Said, but what if people only have a PS4? Some of them don't even have the money, which 100% is true. I mean, yeah, I definitely understand that issue. It's a real issue. We're tired of developing the game for PS4 too, and we will continue with the PS5 where we don't have to make any changes to performance, but we'll adjust the game for mobile phones because that's where the money comes from. So my PS4 can handle the file size, handle the explosion when you step into Nod Krai, which, yeah, I think it might honestly be due to a gear up in terms of quality coming to Nod Krai, which is why they've decided to not continue with PS4, because it's gotten to a point where they can't really update it and they can't really lower the settings any further to kind of, you know, obviously let PlayStation or PlayStation 4 users still play the game, because it's almost going to be unplayable. It's going to be pretty horrible to play unless they make some drastic kind of changes, which is just going to take too much of their time. And I think, honestly, just focusing on the PS5 that can actually run it is probably the best idea for them in the future. But yeah, I mean, that's essentially the news coming out of Genshin Impact at the moment. I thought it was very interesting. Obviously, you know, for example, Wuthering Waves isn't available on PS4 either, so it's not anything to be worried about, nothing to be kind of you know, angry about. Obviously, unless you're a PS4 player, you might not like that. But again, I don't think it's the end of the world. I think it's actually a good step for Genshin Impact going forwards to improve their graphics of their game and not allow, obviously, you know, PS4 places like that to hold them back in terms of their graphical capabilities. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameStop, use my code KAZA, get 10% off again. We got a ton of really cool stuff over there. I definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.